I engaged Miss Winters because you told me someone at the Foundling Home told you she was excellent with children.
Okay, in case anybody's wondering, this is what they mean when someone says gaslighting. Hello, I am Joel Sharpton, one half of the Articulate Coven. We are the unofficial fan podcast and community for Anne Rice's Immortal Universe. We cover the Vampire Chronicles, the Lives of the Mayfair Witches, as well as the rest of Anne's works. But specifically, we talk about the TV shows from AMC, Mayfair Witches, and especially Interview with a Vampire. That's our baby. That's our main show, though. We do all sorts of other things, including the series that you're watching right now, which is my watch for the first time of Dark Shadows, the original supernatural soap opera. I was a big fan of the 90s remake on NBC, I believe, and I'd never seen the original, though. So I'm watching through. We're currently watching episode 25. Is that right? No, 26. Episode 26. No, 25. I was wrong. Joel. I'm doing these in threes, so of course it's 25. Here we go. Let's find out what's going on in Collinsport.
My name is Victoria Winters.
Yeah, it is.
But now a letter has arrived. A letter that once again has raised the specter of my past.
All right, so this is from the lady who runs the foundling home that Victoria grew up in. And she wrote her, like, do you know who this man Strake is who is investigating your connection to the Collins and why he might want to know about you?
And heightens the growing fears of a 9-year-old boy.
So David is scared because he got a part out of his father's car and his father's car crashed, if you're jumping on with us for the first time.
If you broke into her room and came here... David, come back here! David! David!
Well, that's a weak cold open. We already know Roger's a terrible father. Like cobwebs in the corner, so are the dark shadows. I love that we're watching this together. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am.
Tell me that you'll never do it again.
What for? You wouldn't believe me anyway.
All right, David, get back to your schoolwork.
Someone told me on one of these videos recently that they always headcanoned that David from Dark Shadows and Armand from the Vampire Chronicles would get along excellent because they're both just little gremlins.
This is Mrs. Stoddard. Oh, I see. Well, are all the papers ready for a signature? Fine, I'll tell him. Goodbye.
Boy, this... Okay. Elizabeth has such a bad habit of this. She gets on the phone call, and if they don't have the other actor, like, literally doing the phone voice, which they've done before, she just runs right through her dialogue with no pauses whatsoever for the other person to speak. It's like, how would they have told you anything about contracts? Or whatever it is that he needs to sign.
Well, you and Mr. Collins both seem to think you know who tampered with your brakes.
Yes, Burke Dudley. The sheriff is probably with him right now.
But even the sheriff said you should try to think if there wasn't someone else who might want to kill your brother.
There is no one else.
Except my loving son, of course. That phone call was it the sheriff?
No.
I'd keep this under lock and key if I were you, Miss Winters. That is, if it's important to you.
Hasn't Mrs. Stoddard spoken to you about it?
No.
I think we can have this discussion later.
But I wanted
Later, Miss Winters. Right now, I'd like you to go upstairs and finish David's lessons with him. Thank you very much.
What the letter says is that somebody's investigating her connection to the Collinses and why she's at this house working. She's supposedly there because Roger had gotten referred to her, but that's not true. Roger didn't want her to come.
My father told you about the letter, didn't he?
I'd rather forget about it if you don't mind.
I knew he would. He just loves to get me in trouble.
David, nobody gets you in trouble but yourself.
Ooh, child, that's a hard lesson for all of us to learn, isn't it? I keep trying to explain that to my, well, let's just say that is a lesson that I am currently trying to teach as well.
David, why were you so afraid of the sheriff?
Who says?
You thought he'd come here to arrest you, didn't you?
Man, okay. The way that I process these files, you guys generally don't hear the audio, like the music in the show. But it is so inconsistent in this episode. It's literally just like coming in and out. Like, I don't know if the mix was bad or the machinery was broken or what the heck was happening, but like, it's literally like it's there and it's gone and then it's back again. No rhyme or reason to it. Something is clearly malfunctioning.
I don't want the sheriff or anyone else prying into our personal affairs.
Personal affairs. Burke tampers with the brakes on my car. I almost get killed, and you talk to me about personal affairs.
My mind is made up.
Yeah, I do feel like, goodness, like, what do you got to hide in the origin of Miss Victoria Winters, ma'am?
My reasons for engaging Miss Winters have absolutely nothing to do with your accident. And I don't want any further questioning of them by you or the sheriff, and particularly not by Miss Winters. I engaged Miss Winters because you told me someone at the Foundling Home told you she was excellent with children.
Okay, in case anybody's wondering, this is what they mean when someone says gaslighting.
I asked you to tell Miss Winters a certain story. That's all I'm asking you to do.
What if I refuse?
There's a fly on the set buzzing around her head, or at least between the camera and Liz. That is hilarious.
My reason for engaging Miss Winters is private. It will remain private. And I'll expect your cooperation in keeping it that way.
The important thing for you to remember, David, is that when the French left their colony at St. Croix Island, the English sent settlers in 1607 and they settled at the mouth of the Kennebec River. You remember the name of that settlement?
Man, why not just like put that woman's line in the book in that when she's literally just spouting historical facts to the kid? Why not just let her read them? Like, God bless it, this child sneaking into people's bedroom.
You know, of course, Miss Winters, that we think Burke Devlin is behind these inquiries.
Why? What would he learn?
That's exactly the point. Nothing.
Then should he bother?
Miss Winters, you know the situation here. You know that Burke Devlin's main interest in coming back to Collingsport was to harm me and my family. He would try...
I mean, I like to make fun of how much Burke and Roger worry about each other, but it is so true that their lives do currently revolve around each other.
Well, tampering with the brakes in my car, I assure you, was far more fruitful than prying into your past.
By the way, we've got 4 actors so far. We've been talking about how, as a rule, they were generally budgeted for either 4 or 5 actors for each episode. We've got Liz and Victoria and Roger and David.
I told you that you had been recommended to me. It's true, but not by anyone living in the Foundling Home. You know the home is supported by donations, don't you?
Yes.
And I'm sure you know that many of the donors prefer to remain anonymous.
Well, yes.
There's a woman in New York. When the problem arose, I can't tell you her name. When the problem arose that we needed someone for David, I contacted her.
How convenient.
Can't you tell me her name?
I'm afraid not.
But...
Excuse me. Oh, yes, Mr. Carter. Well, did you see Devlin? Well, of course he'd deny it. I told you that. Well, you didn't let it go at that, did you? I'm going to have a talk with that sheriff.
Mr. Collins, we're not through with our talk.
Miss Winters, forget about that letter. Tear it up, throw it away. Just forget about it.
They keep saying sheriff. Isn't it the constable? I think in Maine you have a constable. And I think they've already called him the constable. Well, at least she thought to look. She found the bleeder valve. That'll be the episode's end. All right, that's a good conclusion. Oh, no credit music. No credits music. That's hilarious. See, again, like something must have been wrong with their... Oh, now it's coming in. All right, something must have been wrong with their speaker system or whatever they're using to get this in. Yeah, weak start to this week's batch. Don't forget, we do 3 of these every Saturday morning on our YouTube channel. And if you're watching these on YouTube, you can go ahead and get the next batch on our Patreon, articulatecoven.com/join. $2 or more a month gets you access to everything we do early and ad-free. We'll be right back with more of Dark Shadows on the Articulate Coven.